Kemba, his just recent game log, and he's, like you said, he's been playing better of late prior to this game today. He really had been, 20 plus points a game, but more notable than that was shooting the ball well. And you look specifically at three. Now, he obviously had that, really was kind of miserable to come out of the injury, all that he played in January, which wasn't much, the half dozen games he didn't shoot the ball well. To start February, didn't shoot the ball well. Recently, last game, 5 out of 8, 3 for 8 before that, 4 for 7 before that, 5 out of 8 before that. And so, I mean, good percentages, well over 40% for the month, all told. And then obviously he has the 1 for 12 today. And you can look at it and say, as you alluded to, maybe it's a one-off, maybe it's not a big deal. I know that players will always tell you, you got to try and shoot your way out of it. Coaches, Brad Stevens, a guy, philosophically who views the game as he does, will certainly say you got to shoot your way out of it. Shooters got to shoot, all of that. But, at a certain point in time where you're 1 for 12 from 3 in a close game, do you need to back off? Do you need to lean more on your true stars, the guys that are guiding you night after night? Or should he just be continuing to fire away, hope it falls, because you'd rather he take a 3 than a Daniel Tice, a Shemi Ojeleye, guys like that?
I think that the Celtics are right to let him keep shooting for 2 reasons. Number one, like as much as sure, like you could say like, Jalen and Jason should have the bulk of it, but at the same time, they already do. Like those guys are being really, really worked right now. They're just being asked to do a whole lot. And, they're being asked to do a whole lot. I mean, Jalen's dealing with knee tendonitis. They're playing like every other night, if not every night. Like, I know fans don't want to hear it, but like, and I know it's like true league wide, but like these guys are all exhausted. Like this is a really, really taxing, difficult season. And, I'm not saying that's like the reason for the Celtics struggles. I'm just saying like, that's why you can't, like, I don't think you can just go to Jalen and Jason and be like, I think we need a little more from you guys. And then I think the other thing too, is just, again, like I think Kemba should keep shooting, because if he isn't a star, then this team isn't a championship team. And if that's the goal this year is to be a championship team, like, I think somehow Kemba has to figure it out. And again, Celtics fans might not like that, because right now it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. But I think that really is kind of how it shakes down, is even with a big, addition at the trade deadline or whatever it might be, this team contending depends on Kemba being, a 20-point per game guy or something close to that. Certainly somebody who's capable of that, night in and night out. So, yeah. So, I mean, that's where I would come down on it. And it's tough because the injury, you don't want to make like the injury excuse, because like you said, it happens every single year. But, like for better or worse, Kemba's knee is, could decide this entire season. So, I keep harping on it, but like it's pretty important that your third best player is a good player.
To piggyback off that though, just because, Kemba's shooting 12 threes. A lot of people are like, well, maybe he should stop shooting. And the problem is, who the hell is going to play point guard instead of Kemba Walker? I mean, we all love Pritchard, right? But Pritchard has been going through it as of late. He's going to have some struggles as a rookie. He's been great so far, but you're really counting on him to kind of run their offense in the fourth. Because again, Tom's running the money. Jalen and Jason are doing enough. This should be enough. These two guys are carrying a huge burden here. Somebody has to give them the break. It's not going to be Daniel Tice. It's not going to be Rob Williams. It's not going to be Tristan Thompson, Aaron. It's not going to be any of those guys. It has to be Kemba. It can't be anybody else. Maybe in other times it's Marcus Smart can come off and give him, because Marcus is always willing to get those shots up anyway. So maybe it's smart. But like right now, the way this team currently is, it can only be Kemba. And that's sort of the problem where this team is right now, because they have so many guys that have limited skill sets. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because you need those guys. Like you need everybody's like, oh, we should get PJ Tucker. It's like, well, Shemi Ojeleye gives you some of that. I'm not trying to say he gives you all that, but he gives you some of that. Rob Williams, and I'm sure we'll get him later, playing out of his mind lately. He can only do so much. Aaron Neesmith can only do so much. You need somebody to help Jalen and Jason with the scoring load. And it's not going to be anybody else on the roster. It has to be Kemba Walker. Or if they make a trade, maybe it's that guy. But with the way the roster is right now, as of, what is it, the 20th, 21st today, whatever the hell the date is today, it's March a millionth for what I care. It has to be Kemba. It can't be anybody else. And that's the struggles that Boston has right now. It's the roster crunch they're in right now. And don't get me wrong, injuries has something to do with that. But at the end of the day, too, this roster lacks something, and it's becoming more evident game after game after game. Chris Gasper, of course, had a great quote a great tweet at the end of the game. Celtics are 29th in bench scoring. That's a problem.
Yeah, no question. And it really hammers home. Like I was talking about this on my podcast a couple of days ago, like the 2018
what podcast is that, Tom? Why don't you plug that?
It? Oh, the Genotime podcast over on the Blue Wire Podcast Network. Anybody can like, subscribe, 5-star review.
Yep.
No, but I mean, it was, look, the 2018-19 season, it went so poorly. And the weirdest thing about that team was how much talent there actually was. And that's why this team is so different, is because there's actually like the two stars are actually playing great. It's just that there's, like this team would kill. We were talking about it before we started recording. This team would kill for Terry Rozier right now. And Terry Rozier was getting, like 12 minutes a game or whatever he was in 2018-19. Like, it's crazy how much talent has come and gone. And the talent that's on the team has really developed. They've gotten really good. And I don't think it's impossible that could happen again next year. I think that the Celtics do a pretty good job of, we haven't seen Romeo this year, but I think, they do a pretty good job of developing some of these guys. I think, next year, Aaron Nesmith and Romeo Langford might be reliable bench players, or, maybe even one of them can slide into the starting role. Like if everything goes well and if they really improve over the summer, like those things are not impossible. But as of right now, the talent gap between, the Celtics teams of the last 2 years and the team this year is just really catastrophic. And I think I think that bench, scoring stat is, it sums it up really well. Like they just, outside of the really talented guys, there's not a lot of talent kind of underneath them.
I was waiting for the "Wherefore art thou, Romeo" joke, and you blew it.
Yeah, that's Tommy. This is why the Genotime podcast is kind of,
So staying with Kemba though, fine. Like if we want to agree that obviously he's got to be your third best player, he's got to be a star, he's got to have usage, all of that. No qualms there. Should we be attacking the way in which he is playing his game? And some of it is adjusting to the minutes restrictions, and some of it is obviously just shot selection, that type of thing. You can't ignore, though, we were talking a little bit before we came on, Evan and I, about, Tatum Brown especially still kind of, whining about non-calls when they go to the rim. Now, that obviously wasn't the case against the Pelicans. Between the two of them, they went to the free throw line almost 25 times. They had their opportunities. Even if they aren't getting nearly the calls that they should be, those star calls over the course of the season, today, that was not a problem. Kemba, though, it's not about not getting the call. It's about not even trying to get the call. He right now is averaging, at least coming into today, and it's going to be consistent because he went to the line 3 times. He is averaging 3.1 free throws per game, 3.1. Now, his career average is 4.7 during his, earlier time with Charlotte when he was really, the Kemba we all know and love was consistently 5.5. How much do you think the knee is playing into him not even attempting to go to the line, to draw contact, to be that guy that he was before this issue came along? And how problematic is that?
Well, I mean, it's they're 15-15, right? Or is that right? Or something like that. They're it's hugely problematic for sure. Look, I mean, he insists that it's not his knee, that he feels fine. And that might be the case. Like, I don't know what his knee is doing, but if it's not his knee, then
maybe
like
it's psychological.
Then that's almost more concerning, right? Yeah. Is like, if your knee's feeling great and this is how you're playing, like, like that, like maybe it's just another stage of his career. And, and again, maybe not like I don't know, at this stage, it's difficult to say what it is with him, because there was that 4-game stretch where he was playing a lot better and he looked pretty good. And even today, he snuck a couple of those, layups where it looks like he should get blocked and then he doesn't, he just kind of sneaks it up there. He had a couple of those. And I think those are kind of a reliable indicator of maybe he is feeling a little bit better. So, because he wasn't doing those early in the season. So, I mean, like realistically, like I could see it either way. I could certainly see, the 4-game sample size being just noise. I could also see his 1 for 12 shooting night being just noise. Like, I don't think he's a 1 for 12 3-point shooter. If he shoots 4 for 12, then this is a completely different game. So, I don't know. I mean, that's a complete non-answer to your question, but like it's certainly concerning because if like I said, if the knee is fine and this is how he's playing and this is just who he is, then that's a problem. But I'm certainly not going to tell people that it's not panic time, but I do think that there is still a chance that Kemba Walker looks a little bit more like the Kemba Walker that, everybody kind of knows. And if he isn't, then again, this team is kind of meh.